Good evening, everyone. Hi, Mary. Thank you for co-hosting. We'll wait a few moments and we'll have a proper greeting. Meanwhile, find your body. It's been wanting your attention for more time than you may be aware of. Okay. Welcome to Mission Dharma. If you haven't been with us, special welcome. I'd like to invite as many of you who are willing to put your cameras on to feel free to be seen. Also, feel free to say hello and say where you're calling in from. So we can all have the benefit of hearing your voices and simulate a little bit of the feeling of being together in person, knowing the impossibility of that. So
Hi,
don't.
everybody. Charlie from Rockport, Maine.
Hey, Charlie. Welcome.
Pat, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Hello, Pat. Glad you're with us tonight.
Hello from Delaware.
Oh, Laura's in Delaware tonight.
Yes, with Satori.
Hi.
Welcome.
Frank, San Francisco.
Was that
John
Frank?
Boulder.
Hi, John.
I am.
Great to have you with us. I think I heard Frank before.
David in Burlingame.
Hey, David. Always happy to see you.
Maureen in Regina.
Hello, Maureen.
Shane in Phoenix.
Who is that from Phoenix? Shane in
Oh,
Phoenix.
Shane.
Welcome, Shane.
Thank
Glad
you.
you're with us. Maureen, I just received a beautiful photo that Donna made that offered me, and it's reminding me of the prairies and how exquisite it is. And anyway, so glad you're with us. Glad all the prairie dwellers are here.
Miss you.
Likewise. Anyone else, feel free to say hello. Hi, Barbara in Evanston. Glad you're with us.
Hey, Glenn from Palm Desert, California.
Hi, Glenn.
Paul in San Francisco.
I missed that.
Paul in San Francisco.
Hi, Paul. Always happy that you're with us. And I see Michael and
Michael from
Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Great
Seema
to
from
see
San
you.
Francisco.
Hello, Seema.
Nina
From Phoenix.
Hi, Nina. Great to see you all. And Samira. Anyway, just to mingle together. This is part of what uplifts our spirit in times that we are easily isolated, not so much isolated in the world, but isolated in our own mind. And somehow the immediacy of being together helps us come out of the tangle of our own internal universe for a little bit to live in silence. As Rumi put it, he said, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?" He said, "Come out of the tangle of fear thinking, live in silence." He says, "Flow down and down and down in ever widening rings of being." So it allows us to come out of that little narrow vortex of our preoccupations into a the wider panoramic view of present time awareness, where in that sense of being together, we're a little bit more empty of ourselves and full of each other. And so that's the beauty of Sangha, community. So now that we've maybe taken in each other a little bit and each other's voices, we can go to the other refuge, one of the other two refuges. First we go to the refuge of the Sangha. This is what the Buddha recommended, that a reliable source of, a reliable resource is community, people practicing together. The other reliable resource exists as the very consciousness, awareness through which we're perceiving. That's the Buddha. So now we rely on the Buddha, and then we rely on the second part of what a Buddha knows is the Dharma. That's the other resource that maybe our greatest resource is whatever we're experiencing right now. And we use it as the manure of Bodhi. We use it for our awakening. So this is cool. And no matter what's happening, it gets put to good use. Easy to talk about. It's another to actualize that. But that's what we'll do tonight. We will together, Sangha, let our eyes close softly and meet or re-meet the Buddha within, that simple, ultimate fact that you are aware, that there is awareness here and now. This is the ultimate fact. And so simply acknowledging, or since it is self-knowing, just acknowledging that simple sense of being aware of the fact of being aware. Now letting go of all those words and just sensing what you're aware of. And if you're a little more empty of your usual preoccupations, you'll feel your body. Not as an idea, but as a felt experience of sensation. This is the truth of the way things are right now. You're feeling the sitting body. And this is where we find the Dharma, we find nature. Experience nature. It's heavy, hard, that's earth. Sense of solidity or cohesion, that's water. Sense of temperature, that's fire. Breath or vibration, that's the air element. Gases. So just experiencing not the idea of it, but the direct experience of nature. Dharma also means nature. Truth of the way things are. And that reminds us that our practice is not about what we hope will happen, or what happened the last time you practiced, but about what you're experiencing now. So notice the coming together of being aware and this sitting body. Just notice what happens. Some of you may feel restless or agitated, but there's likely, if you sustain this connection of attention and body, you're likely to notice a stilling or a settling. You're also likely to notice much more easily the body's experience of breathing, where that air element becomes more prominent and how it's affecting the earth and the fire, how your body expands and contracts, and you feel it. If we intimately feel that experience of our body breathing in and breathing out, we'll experience the Dharma, the truth of letting go that happens in every breath. How the in-breath lets go and allows the out-breath, and the out-breath, the exhalation, there's whole body releases and lets go. And the beauty of our practice is it shows us that letting go happens by itself. It's not a doing. It's not egoic. Letting go is the nature of reality. Just notice this filling up and letting go. Breath by breath. Not trying to make anything happen, even though the natural byproduct will be a calming. But don't try to calm yourself. Just sustain this connection of attention and body, breath. Just this breath, just this moment. We let that fantastic world of our imagination move into the background and let our attention move into the foreground of the immediate sensations of sitting and breathing. But when thoughts move again to the foreground, we just notice them as thinking. Clouds that have crossed the sky of our mind. We allow ourselves to see that the thoughts, like clouds, have no roots. They're just these little bubbles. We let them come and go. When sounds move to the foreground, we just notice hearing also coming and going. Moods come, allow those to come and go, like internal weather. And noticing the arising and fading of all these experiences, we realize deeper Dharma insight and how everything changes. When nothing else is calling our attention, we keep settling in and sustaining our connection to the body and breath. Just this moment. Buddha, being aware, noticing the Dharma the way it is right now, with the Sangha supporting you all the way. When you realize you've been lost in thought, celebrate the natural function of mindfulness to wake you up, allow you to clearly comprehend that you are now present again, and then be able to, with intention, reconnect to the body and breath, making every part of that experience part of mindfulness. Mindfulness of waking up, mindfulness of redirecting our attention, mindfulness of the felt sense of body and breath, or anything else that becomes predominant. Completely natural to become absorbed in thought, and natural and enhanced by training to wake up again. Just this moment. Remembering that mindfulness is an expression of your natural mind that is aware. So there's no need to strain to be aware. We just be aware. Remembering that there's nothing to do about what we're aware of, nothing to undo, nothing to fix or figure out. Just be aware. And then see how whatever you are aware of unfolds. Each breath, sensation, sounds, moods, thoughts, and images. Resting in a state of being aware for as long as it lasts, until we get absorbed again in discursive mind. If you're aware of discursive mind, that's mindfulness. Just being aware of whatever is present. when you hear the sound of the gong. Just be aware of hearing. Let the sound arise and fade, and as it fades and you feel the impulse to open your eyes, notice the experience of opening them, noticing the arising of sight, of outer sight, of seeing. Feel the impulse to make any other movements. Notice those other movements so the practice continues continuously. Deep pleasure to sit with you. Whoever is, yeah, thank you. Yeah, this being together, practicing together is at least the medicine that I need. And I imagine maybe feels so for you. And when I talked earlier about going to the Sangha for refuge, going to the Buddha for refuge, going to the Dharma for refuge, the three, what are considered three reliable resources that that are onward leading toward living a balanced, awake, and compassionate, ethical life. I emphasized a little bit with the Sangha what the support that we receive from practicing together. But, the power of Sangha is not just what we receive; it's what we offer by our presence, and it's a great act of giving to show up. And so I'm thrilled that so many of you have shown up. I often expect the summertime to be a little quieter on the Mission Dharma calls, but these are not usual times. So perhaps you're in as great a need of the practice together as I am. So I'm glad you're here. I am curious, though, what you noticed during the sitting. If there are any questions that came up about your practice, about what the instructions, anything that was set up to that point, any topics that emerged, and hopefully not too theoretical, but something relevant to your immediate experience. And as always, just an encouragement, a practice of supporting the Sangha to be willing to speak up if you feel, and it will benefit others. Leith, nice to see you, and thanks for breaking the ice. Please feel free.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, something came up for me. You talked about the four elements, and the air and the fire were two that were really coming to my attention, and I wanted to get your opinion or your advice on this. This has happened to me quite a few times where I'm trying to have the breath as my focus.
Your primary anchor, yeah.
Yeah, my main anchor, but my pulse becomes something where I can feel it in my chest and my arms and my neck. I'm just so aware. So I'm kind of, it's like this gentle tug of war. I'm trying to go back to the breath, but it's the pulse that I'm feeling. And it's just like, well, that's what is happening right now to me
That's
at the
right.
present. But I'm sort of trying to get back to my breath, and it won't go away. I can just really feel this pulse. So then tonight I just relaxed into listening to the pulse and just letting it, or feeling the pulse more than listening to it.
Yeah.
And then about halfway through the sit, I found it kind of receded into the background, and then my breath became more prominent. But I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, does it have to be your breath? Is it okay to use
Well,
your?
in general, the encouragement is not to pay attention to our heartbeat or our pulse as a primary anchor, because it actually is much more amorphous, and it comes and goes out of focus a lot. Um, a lot in general, it comes in and out of focus more easily. Whereas the breath, well, you don't really feel the breath, you feel the effect of the breath on the body. And so there's something very calming about noticing those waves of breath. And I can't tell you the technicalities of why the pulse isn't a primary anchor, because generally it's because sometimes you feel it and sometimes you don't. And so it's not as reliable. But instead of making it a conflict, if that's what's prominent, I would just breathe with the pulse. Just keep the breath as almost just cozying up to the pulse with the breath. So like sitting alongside of it, not losing touch with the body sensations that come from breathing. So then you still have access to the elements a little bit more, and and at the same time you acknowledge that this heartbeat or pulse is being known. I don't know if that speaks to your question, but
Yeah, well, no, it does, because like I just wasn't sure if okay, maybe I'll just go with the heart, but I just didn't know if that made sense or not. But no, you've answered my question, so thank you.
yeah, I'm sure somebody could give you a better answer about why one doesn't. But my hunch is, just from experimenting myself, is just sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. But the breath is much more obvious, even though that also becomes at times almost imperceptible. And so sometimes even just knowing that the body is breathing, even if you don't feel it so distinctly, that's okay too. But if nothing more, you'll still feel that uh, basic, those ultimate elements of earth, air, fire, water. Take care. Anyone else? Maureen, please feel free.
Last night, Brenda Roberts gave a talk about the Vedas, which is something that has been sort of not in my program at all. Just thinking about how every second, when I'm aware, there is something impinging on me that brings either an aversion or I like this or I don't like that, or I'm neutral, like that whole idea. And I just was wondering, when it comes to the breath, or how do you work with that when there's so much, when you start paying attention to it, it's never end, like there's something happening every second.
Right.
And
What? Yeah.
I'm trying
Thank
to
you.
kind of deconstruct it all,
Thanks for the question. So Maureen is asking about, if you don't mind me speaking to everyone as well, Maureen is asking about Vedana. Vedana is the Pali word for feeling, but it doesn't mean feeling in the way we normally talk about feelings as emotions. It's feeling, which means as you called it, you said an impingement. a feeling tone that accompanies every experience, and it does with the breath as well. And we feel every experience. It comes accompanied with a pleasant feeling, an unpleasant feeling, or neither pleasant or unpleasant. And so the liking and disliking is the reaction to those feeling tones. That's the liking and disliking isn't the feeling tone. That's the liking and disliking also has a feeling tone. So anything that can be known has a feeling tone. And so it can be very useful to notice what the feeling tone is accompanying any experience and including the breath. But it's not possible. It would be exhausting to catch every little moment and deconstruct every little moment. There may be times where mindfulness is very sharp, where you'll catch many different vagueness, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant, and morphing constantly from one to the other. And that does sometimes happen when mindfulness is really sharp. But in our daily practice, it's usually not that sharp. And so we mostly want to, from time to time, or as much as we're able to remember, to just notice what the feeling tone of what we're experiencing. And more often than not, it is noticing that we're in some kind of reaction that that wakes us up to remind us that we're reacting to something. We're not liking something or we're liking something. So reactivity is liking and disliking. It's not just disliking. It's not just the unpleasant. And spacing out is not just it's not just spacing out. It's usually in reaction to something that was not clear, not seen very well. So certain reactions can call us to just incline or intend to notice, well, by and large, what's the flavor of the breath right now? Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? Is it neither pleasant or unpleasant? And once you notice the pleasantness, it won't, there's the reaction to it just breaks. And then you're more interested in just the feeling tone. So anytime you can notice it is great, but don't expect to notice it constantly. And the important thing in noticing it some is you can see that that is, as you've heard me say many times, that's ground zero for all of our reactivity, are just those feeling tones. Pleasant, we react with liking, wanting. Unpleasant, we react with not liking, aversion. Neither pleasant or unpleasant, we react with spacing out or just, lost in thought or just going into a fog.
I guess what you're saying, rather than analyzing, just notice the outcome.
Yeah, yeah. And notice the outcome of having recognized the unpleasantness of something or the pleasantness. Because that's kind of the bare reality. But not recognizing it at all is we fall into kind of confusion. We can't figure out why we got into this whole storm of reactivity or why we spaced out. And it's often just in these little micro moments of reactivity that come from three little feeling tones. Anyway, thanks for speaking up about it. And it can be a confusing topic until we actually just practice with a little bit, but not expect to have the level of detail and continuity as you may if you were in the middle of a 3-month retreat. Samira, please feel free.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I don't know if I have a question, but the 3 refuges was something that I have been thinking about for a few days. So I thought it was quite serendipitous that that was one of the first things you mentioned this evening. I've been thinking about it because the concept of refuge feels quite abstract. And I understand, like, you also mentioned, taking something from a conceptual nature into actualizing it. So that concept of refuge is very abstract to me, but, showing up to this group is one way that I'm trying to actualize it. And, so I'm thinking about, you know, how do you take refuge in these three jewels? I'm still very new to this practice, and I'm still
Yes.
new to
No. Thank you.
understanding the
Thank you for
nuances.
thank you for the question. Often this starts out as, for many people, what starts out as a kind of external ritual where you hear about the Buddha and about what a Buddha what a Buddha is. When the Buddha's asked, "What are you? Are you a man? Are you a this or that?" He says, "I'm awake." So a Buddha is awake, and so that it points to the wakefulness in us. And then you hear about the Dharma and learning how to be in harmony with the way things are. That when we're in contention with reality, we suffer a lot, and so you want to um, learn to go to what's actually happening for refuge, not what you wish was happening or what happened yesterday. And so it's so at first it's an external or a conceptual kind of, as you say, abstract, but it points us to seeing, inquiring into what is our relationship to our experience. What is, and where do I go in my life for refuge? Do I go to my thinking mind? Do I go to the shopping mall? Do I go to the refrigerator? And and what is my relationship to the way things are? Am I in contention with reality, or am I do I open to it first so that I can actually be in response to reality instead of reaction? And what is my relationship to community, to mutual support, um, to what seems true, that we don't do so well in our lives entirely alone, that nobody does this practice well alone entirely, that we do it alone together, and so what's my relationship to that? And so you start with a whole conceptual thing, but then you start to practice and you look into what does it actually mean in real time. Refuge in the Buddha. Buddha means awake. You start tuning in. What's that experience of being awake? And I start noticing when I'm awake, which means when I'm awake means I'm not lost in thought. I'm not lost in the imagined past, the imagined future. I am not fabricating reality. I'm seeing it, kind of the bare reality of things just as they are right now. What's it like? And by and large, when people sustain that experience of being a Buddha, being awake in a sustained period, there comes a feeling of confidence that this truly is a refuge, and I don't have to travel for it. At first, it's just conceptual, external, but then it becomes a really internalized experience of when I say I go to the Buddha for refuge, I'm not talking about some dead person that lived 2,500 years ago. I may occasionally draw inspiration from that, but I'm going to the Buddha that lives in me as me. And so that I want to practice so that I can actually see for myself. And that's another thing about the Dharma, about the teachings, that we initially externally they say come and see for yourself. So to me that was very inspiring. Don't take any external refuge. Don't go anywhere else for refuge. Go to the Buddha for refuge, and then go to the Dharma for refuge. To see for yourself. There's this line that's repeated over and over again for those who are interested to come and see for themselves. It's chanted every day in monastery. Ehi pasako opanayeko pachatan veditapu venuhiti. It's don't just think about it. See for yourself. So the more you see for yourself the Dharma, see your relationship to the Dharma, you start to gain confidence that somehow when I just open to reality the way it is, that it's a resource, that it's a refuge, that everything that I can be aware of in real time is workable. If there's awareness and if I'm really tuning into what's showing up here. So I'm not living in fantasy anymore. I'm living in reality. And that's both macrocosmically and microcosmically. And then what's it like to practice together with other people? I can tell you every day there's a lifting power to practicing together, different than trying to do it home alone. We just kind of spin in our own internal drama. But until you actually experience that directly, then you go, oh yeah, I go to the Sangha for refuge. It's a good thing. But you have to see it for yourself. I don't know, maybe that gave me an opportunity to talk about what we can actually do right now and what I actually think what I've said over and over again, what our greatest resistance is to the greed, hatred, and delusion in our world is to practice. Go to the Buddha, go to the Dharma, go to the Sangha, and take it out of the books onto your cushion or into your life, into the market, into the protest. This is what's really needed, among other things, of course. I remember so much during COVID. I just saw it seemed so clear that as the world was just freaking out, I just saw such an essential role for people who practice and know the Dharma, know the teachings, know the practice, and have had some kind of understanding grow from their own experience that this is what we do this for. We do it for the benefit of people who have no refuge, have no resources, and we stay well resourced so that we can help, so that we can get out there and scream without being angry, that we can be willing to die um, to protect the people who need protecting, because we're already in some way, it's easy to talk about, but that we're already resting in the deathless, that which is truly a refuge in us, a freedom that doesn't have to do with our bodies or what particular drama or mood we're in. That we start with learning how to work with our own mind, but then we have to work with the group mind. I'm still convinced that I think I go over and over again, that this is social action, doing your practice, giving your practice to this world. I have some house guests right now. I'm anxious, I'm not anxious. I'm wondering if there's anyone else that wants to speak or has a question, comment before I go off on my own little tangent. Another tangent, I should say. But Samira, thank you for reminding me of the refuges again. Stephen, please, last but not least. You have to unmute though. I haven't heard a word.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I've lost a lot of friends in the last 6 years. I'm 75 now, but I just found out that a very close friend of mine has glioblastoma. You probably know what that is.
I
And
don't, I've heard of it. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think it's something to do with the brain.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's usually you only have like about 15 months to live. And this one really hit me hard because we've been friends since we're 17,
I'm
uh,
so sorry.
18. But I was just wondering, a good way to look at this because I just found out about this like 2 days ago or something like that. And, you know, I, I've lost a lot of friends, but nothing really hit me like this one. This one's kind of close to home. I was just wondering what you thought.
Well, anyone who's near and dear will trigger a feeling of loss, of grief, and that's just it's a natural response to loss and the potential of loss. So we don't want to pretend that you're not. I I appreciate that you're just naming that this one hit you hard, and when something hits you hard, just let it tenderize you, let it hit you, feel it, and remember that those feelings are nature, they're internal weather, they're just natural part of our human experience, and to feel them. And it's natural to feel that sense of loss. At the same time, what turns grief into a terrible thing is that loss mixed with clinging. So we want to use that, and it may not be a useful part of the conversation right now, but we want to use the experience of loss as a and remember that this is a natural part of every existence. That, as I always often quote the Wiley's dictionary, the definition of birth is the leading cause of death.
Yeah, it's a profound sadness,
Yeah,
he just found out. So, I mean, I just want him to try to be as positive as possible, and maybe he can come through it by some luck or whatever,
yeah.
but that's where I want him to go, and I want to support him in that way.
Yeah, I think it's nice to support him quietly in the wish that he's positive, but I wouldn't try to choreograph his reactions. I just be witness and contain. Just hold him in a in a loving presence without trying to influence how he is, unless he asks you.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will feel like an invasion.
Okay. Thank you, Howie.
Good luck. I'm so sorry about your loss, all your losses. It's not easy being human, losing. We will lose everyone, and that's not fun,
I know.
but it is the way it is.
I know.
You know
And
that I don't know about you, but I
it
contemplate
is the way it is.
I contemplate. In fact, I think the last Tuesday I was here, I don't know what David did exactly last week, but the last Tuesday I was here, we all did the five remembrances of the five daily reflections. I'm sure to become old, I can't avoid aging. I'm sure to become ill, I can't avoid illness. I'm sure to die, I can't avoid death. I'm sure to become separated from all that I hold near and dear. And then the part about karma, my actions or karma is my relations. My actions are my relations. My actions are the womb out of which I'm born. With my actions, I make my life. So right now, we want to act with love, with wisdom, with integrity, and this is what makes our life and what makes the world. So good luck.
Thank you so much, Howie.
Mary, last but not least, I saw your hand pop up.
I think we came at the same time. We pushed at the same time.
Uh,
I'll be very brief. I am very, very grateful, as know, for this practice. I've been doing a long time, and really, when things get tough, it really is truly a refuge. And as you said, to try and act in ways from that place. But I have to admit, when you said that expression of being in contention with reality, I have to admit, lately that's how I feel. I'm here in Southern California, and I really feel very much in contention with reality. It's very, very difficult time.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, but it's a nuanced comment, being in contention with reality. It's essentially you have to see reality as it is first and open to it, and then see that our suffering comes uh, a lot from our reaction to it. And being in contention. So that's the part of the suffering of it that you can actually work with. You can work with your own aversion to the way it is. And that ideally, and I'm saying this to everybody, that frees us up to actually uh, then move with love, move with not be drowned in sorrow. It helps us find some equanimity. Uh, so that part,
It's challenging right now. I
totally
feel,
challenging right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Totally challenging. I don't think there's been a more challenging time in my lifetime.
mine either. And
Mm.
just feel an enormous sadness and
Yeah,
anger and a lot of
yes.
stuff,
But the beauty of your practice is you can feel those things, and you recognize them as you don't just dwell in it's all this way. You feel things and then you feel something else.
Yes,
You of all people know what happens when you then hit the can, you start painting or you
right,
go to the beach.
right.
You your mind can freshen. You're not just completely absorbed in a view of reality. It's you balance that with a kind of freshness that comes from practice.
I think that one of the challenges is that I think I see that that can also be used in a different way. I see a lot of people that it is too terrible reality to look at or to bear, and a lot of people just go, I can't handle this, and they're kind of retreat. And I think that's not a good response. I mean, I think we have to look at this and how painful it is and do what we can,
That's
not,
right. Well
but,
said.
but
Yes.
so, when I go take a walk on the beach or something, I have to be careful not to say, oh, this feels much better. I,
Well, it does feel better, and it's important that you know that in the midst of misery, you can have that there can be gladness in your heart, and
yeah,
that's how you fortify yourself to be able to tolerate the tough stuff.
that is really
So
true.
it's just a
Yes,
balance. It's not as though we're just going to hide away in fear and
right,
dullness.
right.
We're gonna even become more passionate, but we need to have that beach time too.
I'm finding that I need to take care of myself too, because it is a really, it's a sad time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Howie.
Thank you.
Appreciate that very much.
So let's see, we don't have a lot of time left, but I'll just,
Sorry.
oh, that's okay. That's okay. Um, as I was saying before, just a little plug for the, you've heard the expression neurons that fire together, wire together, something like that. Like whatever you've, like it's a little bit analogous to the Buddha's famous expression, whatever you frequently think about and dwell upon becomes the inclination of the mind. To me, it's one of the more hopeful, positive elements of the Dharma, the reminder that we are the heir of what we practice. And to me, that's not a fearful thought, even though it's maybe sometimes fear is a good motivator. That God, if I keep practicing like I have, I'm gonna be miserable. We don't want to do it as a fear thing. We we can think of it as the wonderful fact that we are trainable, that our neurons can fire together. They will wire together if we dwell uh, in what we discover to be. You can hear about it first, but then discover, if you actually do it, discover to be helpful, wholesome, onward leading toward a more balanced life. That 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 we all can awaken more, and we can all be more compassionate, more kind, more ethical. We all have that capacity. We're not just stuck with our old habits. We may be stuck having to deal with them, but we can deal with them differently. And every moment really is the way I like to think of it. Every moment that we awake creates a space of creative possibility. It's like a fertile ground. If I am awake, if I'm asleep, if I'm sleepwalking, I'm just carried along by my conditioning. But if I'm awake a little bit, that's there. It's just juicy. It's a juicy opportunity. So that's all just a Dharma background to the fact that we have house guests, and our house guests are two lifelong educators, teachers of middle school, high school, uh, and really devoted their life to shepherding, supporting younger people. And one of the people who's staying here recently was given a class of seventh graders, was asked to have a class of seventh graders, and she had been more regularly uh, teaching eighth graders and teaching in a completely different subject. And this group of seventh graders who have not really been exposed to the same level to social media, so they were still in some minor way not corrupted. They came into her class and they were absolutely out of control. They were just wild. And she had the idea, because she's been around the Dharma or teachings on mindfulness, she decided that but each day when they came into class that they would put their heads down on the desk, and they would just sit there with their heads down and be quiet. So after about 2 weeks, they were pacified. They were quiet. They were, this routine each day. And theoretically, she could have stopped with this practice. They didn't need it anymore. They were engaged. They were interesting. They were wonderful, engaging kids. But she kept doing it through the whole year. And it turned out to be her most favorite class group of middle schoolers that she had ever had. And she's still experiencing the joy of having been with them and seen the fruits of each day inclining toward a little quiet. And it reminded me that if you frequently dwell on something, you frequently do something, or you do it regularly, it becomes the inclination of your mind. You get the benefits of it. And I notice that one of the great benefits of functioning in the role that I have through the years, and I'm still amazed by it, but I can just get caught up in the stream of distress around me and in me, and I can get into my internal drama. But because I have that habit of stopping, listening, I've seen and gained some confidence that just that simple act many times a day, just stopping, listening, feeling, stopping, listening, feeling. It's not rocket science. But every time I do that, something in me settles. And one of the little dramas that I get into, I got a few minutes left. One of the dramas that I get into, just just habitually being, and this didn't happen until I hit age 60. I started having ideation about aging. And I live a lot of my life not really thinking about my age. I'm kind of just just taking life in, but I started having these kind of thoughts about, and then seeing the change, physical changes, etc. So an insidious kind of thinking about the age of the body. And I realize that when I'm aware, there's no age, there's no time, no past, there's no future. There's just being awake to what's here and being with you. But very easy to become hypnotized into that world of aging. And so hitting 70, I'm going to be 72 in October. Hitting 70, more insidious uh, identity stuff about aging, and then seeing the changes in the body, and then going through a brain tumor and all that stuff. Those kinds of internal narratives that start to spin, start to grow, or grow more frequent, they can easily land in a certain view. Oh, I'm getting older. This now qualifies oh, as my old view. This is old age, or whatever my mind is doing from time to time. And then I start to think that because there are certain kinds of things that happen as one's body reaches a certain age. For me, the recall of names and certain compartments of the brain that just aren't available to me. I find it kind of funny right now as I'm talking about it, but sometimes in the midst of just self-preoccupation, those things I can start to think that my better days have passed. But then all I have to do is stop. And especially if I have a little sustained period of moment to moment attention. And I don't say this to just all about me. I'm saying this to do this. Sustain your attention. It's incredible how lucid and clear and accessible everything is when I've frequently dwelled upon present time awareness in a more sustained way. And then I just, especially when I lead retreats and I'm able to have many, many sittings, it's incredible what's available and I'm sure it's not just me, it's everyone. So if you're landing in any kind of view of self, a view of identity with your body, identity of your circumstances, whatever, if you're landing in that, all the more reason that you have to give yourself to these quickies and to also sustain periods of practice. See what happens. Break the spell. You have that capacity, and you have that possibility of really being more free. Don't surrender to, you can surrender to the age of the body and be in harmony with the fact that that's happening, but you don't need to embellish it with what's called papancha, with proliferation, complications. It's just about your views, more about your views than the reality. The reality is you're here, you're awake, Don't forget that. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. I appreciate you sticking around. And just, I think we'll forego the announcements other than August 24th in person at Spirit Rock. And love to see as many of you in the Bay Area as you can. It's beautiful to be on the land and have a practice period in that gorgeous community meditation hall. And thank you in advance for your generosity that keeps us cooking. The generosity of Sangha is giving to each other, generosity to support me or whoever's taking this seat to keep sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And really thanks for being here tonight. And please feel free to unmute and say goodnight to each other.
Howie.